you both are right. I was friends with the one before.
Here we go.
He's on Columbia. You have the lace. I didn't know.
The four horsemen of the American dietary apocalypse are as follows. Cereal grains and starches, sugars, soy, which comes with a little asterisk, we're going to talk about that, and vegetable oils. We're going to tackle them one at a time. Unfortunately, those are main components of what's called the standard American diet, and that's sad. And that's the actual abbreviation of it. First, cereal grains and starches all break down to glucose. It doesn't matter what it is, it's glucose. Glucose causes insulin spikes. High insulin leads to inflammation, which is the precursor of all disease, including tooth decay, believe it or not. You heard Lustig mention leptin. If you never learned about leptin in school, that's because it wasn't discovered until 1994. Your fat tissue is an endocrine tissue. It produces leptin, which is a hormone, which is a feedback hormone that tells your brain and your body that it's full. Guess what blocks it? Carbohydrates. Also, when this is blocked, it leads to obesity, metabolic syndrome, diabetes. There are other methods of attack, glycation, where the actual glucose attaches itself to proteins and enzymes and makes it so they do not work as effectively as they should. These are called advanced glycation end products, or H particles, which is also appropriately named. Sometimes science gets it right. Since 1980, the FDA has pushed a low-fat diet, but sugars have been added, like I said, to increase flavor. Fructose is different than any other sugar. It's still a 6-carbon sugar, but it's in a pentagonal ring. And the enzyme that breaks that down, fructokinase, is only found mostly in the liver. So eating that really puts your liver to work, taking care of it. The muscles will burn sugar before fat because it is toxic. Let me end one fallacy right here. Carbohydrates are not the preferred fuel source of the body. I've heard it lots of times. What your body does instead is it burns fuel in the order of most toxic to least toxic. I can prove this. Your body uses alcohol as a fuel, and it will burn alcohol before it burns carbohydrates, and it'll burn fat, and as a fuel source of last reserve, it will burn protein, including the muscle mass, which is itself starvation insurance. Okay, soy is interesting. Phytates, also known as phytic acid, is the form that plants store phosphate in. And they're different in different plants. In soy, the phytates do not break down from cooking. And they have an anti-nutrient effect. They will block the absorption of zinc, iron, and other minerals in your gut. It's really a bad thing to have around. Traditional fermented soy products such as miso and tamari, and there's a whole laundry list of them, I'm not familiar with them all, are really okay. Unfortunately, tofu is being added to school lunches, into hamburger, and it's having disastrous results on our children. We don't have a long evolutionary history with soy, and it's being marketed as healthy. It's also genetically modified. Your genetically modified foods that are prevalent in society right now include zucchini, corn, soy, and mangoes from Hawaii. And like I said, grain has been chemo-mutated, so there's no need to go in. They have a very successful grain operation going. And as an aside, the guy who did that won the Nobel Prize because they thought he would feed the world. Vegetable oils. I'm not talking about olive oil. Also, the industrial seed oils is another name. Soy, canola, peanut, sunflower, corn. If you buy just plain vegetable oil, it's usually soy oil, sometimes canola. You need both omega-6 and omega-3 fats They're abbreviated N6 and N3 instead of omega-6 and omega-3, mostly because nutritionists never took Greek. And omega-6 fatty acids mediate inflammatory pathways, while omega-3s mediate non-inflammatory pathways. And the problem with these oils is they don't stand up to high heat, and they also have too much of the omega-6, which is bad, and not enough of the omega-3. And don't expect to find any help in the supermarket when you look, because you'll see things on the boxes and on the packaging. They'll say contain omega-3s, or contains both omega-3s and omega-6s. What you want is a ratio of about 1 to 1. And these products have ratios approaching 40 to 1. They've been marketed as healthy because they're not saturated fat. You've all been trained that saturated fat is bad. Question?
Any thoughts on coconut oil?
Love it. Coconut oil is one of the best oils for you. It's loaded with medium chain fatty acids, which plays a nasty trick on your body. Your body cannot store them. It has to burn them. There's no mechanism. It can't cleave the carbon bonds. So if you have a meal that's heavy in coconut oil, and I've had this happen to me actually, I've woken up at 2 or 3 in the morning sweating, and that's my body burning energy because it can't store it. It's just, if you do that, that will really happen. And again, like I said, olive oil is a high in monounsaturated fats, and it's okay. You know, again, you want to try not to cook so much with olive oil because it will break down under high heat. And there are different olive oils, but like Mark said, coconut oil, it stands up very well at high heat. That's what I use when I stir fry. And, okay. Okay, but we're dentists. Where do we fit in? We treat 3 things. Periodontitis, tooth decay, and malocclusions. Okay, everybody understands the inflammatory nature of periodontal disease. Let's try some carbohydrate restriction and see if it changes the plaque composition. If you look at Paleolithic skulls, if they live long enough, you will see some periodontal disease. Now, these people didn't have periodontists and they didn't have toothbrushes, so it's amazing when you think about it, looking at it from our lens, that they actually had teeth if they lived past the age of 40, but they did. And you know, in the new paradigm, you're still going to need to brush your teeth, take care of your teeth, because periodontitis will occur. Tooth decay. As you know, there's 2 types. Sucrose is required for smooth surface decay. Let's take the sugar out of the diet. That goes away. Any fermentable carbohydrate can cause fissure decay. So let's try taking that out of the diet too. If you look at Paleolithic skulls, you do not see tooth decay. It just didn't happen. Okay, crooked teeth. This is a wild card, but it's easy to study because universities have roomfuls of skulls. Only 5% of Paleolithic skulls demonstrate crooked teeth. Why is that? We don't know. But if you look at the Paleolithic skulls, and again, from anywhere over that period, you see skeleton after skeleton after skeleton of straight teeth, 32 teeth, all in occlusion. There's no crooked teeth. There's no impacted teeth. It's just how it was. And I recommend the book from Weston Price, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. That if you read it, what Dr. Price did is he went around to various cultures all over the world, and he looked at people eating primitive diets. And
excuse me, if anybody finds this boring, they can pick themselves up and leave. It's very rude to the speaker to have underhanded and cross conversation. If you must do that, please exit the room and have your talk outside.
Dr. Price went into about 15 different cultures and was able to show in culture after culture after culture that where they were eating traditional diets, people didn't have crooked teeth.
John, I think that, you know, looking back, I mean, obviously, you're looking at cultures, and they weren't intermarrying, so that would be a source of malocclusions. Discrepancy in tooth size, skeletal, but then also I've read over the years that diet had a tremendous amount of impact on malocclusions, and that actually some of the diets decreased the contacts in the teeth, and that allowed for more, for, if you will, less. The mesial distal of the teeth basically wore down because of the diet, and so it actually created space and allowed.
I read that too, and there may very well be some truth to that. But what was amazing about his studies is that he would go, for example, to the South Pacific, and one island might be trading with the Europeans because the harbor was deeper. So they would bring in the refined flour, the refined sugar, and he would look at and find parents who had straight teeth, kids who had crooked teeth and tooth decay, and then go to an island 5 miles away where they weren't trading with Europeans and find that everybody's teeth were perfectly fine. I mean, is it anecdotal? Yeah, okay. But I think it's a place to start to look at it, and that it's speculation on my part that it's the glycation during development, but you know, it seems to make sense. And like I said, I think it's going to take a couple generations to sort out, but this is where I would start. Okay, this is the money slide. How do we eliminate all dental disease? I woke up one day and realized we treat diseases caused exclusively by carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are not and never were an obligate nutrient for Homo sapiens. You do not need them. If you do not eat them, you're not going to die. There is no disease, sugar deficiency syndrome, or carbohydrate deficiency syndrome. Your body will make all the glucose it needs via gluconeogenic pathways. Let's remove these from the diet, and then we'll put ourselves out of business. This is where the ADA has it all wrong. If you go to their website, there were 3 new dental schools opened last year. That's 3 new deans, 30-something new department heads, and 300-400 new professors. Everybody gets a slap on the back and a promotion. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be making it so that there's less of a need for us. Everybody remembers this Venn diagram from dental school? We give fluoride to strengthen teeth. We teach oral hygiene, okay, to lower the bacterial loads. These are not a necessary part of the human diet. Let's take them out and see what happens. Okay, hang on. Change the slide. Oh, no, change this. Are there any questions?